Really quite simple but elegant, I think. Are you kidding me? Did I really just do that again? I wish you could see what is going on down here. Hey everyone, my name is Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty, and welcome to episode 61 of the Love and Stitches podcast. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2020, and we have reached the days where it is so hot every day. I think it's like in the upper 80s and it's just almost May. So crazy weather here in Texas. But I am super excited today because I am collaborating with Courtney of the Knit Now, Swatch Later podcast. Courtney lives in Pennsylvania with her husband and her 2 dogs and 2 cats with the most adorable names ever. Courtney, I believe, is on maybe her 15th or 16th podcast, and she is going strong and consistent. You are going to love her projects because she's making the most beautiful colorwork sweaters and just all kinds of stuff. Like, I adore every single one of the projects that she is working on. So I will have Courtney's channel linked down below, as well as her podcast, which is going to come out on Friday, the day after mine. And in her podcast, she's going to be answering 5 of your questions from Instagram, the same ones that I'm going to be answering later on in the podcast. So make sure to go check out the Knit Now, Swatch Later podcast. And if you like it, make sure you subscribe. I know that you will like it. Okay, let's talk about knitting and crochet. So I am sorry to disappoint. I'm also really tangled in my microphone. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry to disappoint. I haven't cast on anything new like I thought I would. It's been a pretty busy week, but I have gotten lots done. So I do have a finished object, and that is my golden willow shawl. I'm gonna put in some pictures and also some video. My husband took some pictures of me in Dallas. We were driving around doing something else, and we just hopped out of the car when we saw an opportunity and nobody around. So it was awesome. But this is my golden willow shawl. This is a pattern by Knit Graffiti or Leslie Ann Robinson. I wanted to show, before I talk more about the pattern, how much yarn I had remaining. So this is a 3-color, 3-skein shawl. Let me see if I can find all of the stuff real quick for it, because I did remember to bring this upstairs today. Okay, so I used 3 different yarns. The first is, here we go, Malabrigo, and that colorway is Renaissance. You can see this is the one that I had the most left of. The second one is Dream in Color Jilly in Lavender Bloom. And I don't think this was a full skein. Like, I think I had used this for another project. And then this one, I was getting a little nervous. I was weighing my yarn a lot. Hooker's Corner in the colorway Lover's Lane, and I have like probably 2 grams left. This was definitely not a full skein. This was probably 70 grams or so. And you are supposed to have a full skein. So I just squeaked by on that. That was really like the main color. But I'm happy to say it worked out. It doesn't always work out that way. But this is so beautiful. I enjoyed every minute of knitting on this brioche. I think I'm showing you, yeah, I'm showing you the right side here. So it starts down in this corner with single color brioche, 2-color brioche, 3-color brioche right here. And then you go into these beautiful classic brioche sections, which were so much fun to do. There, your stitch count doesn't change, but then once you get to this side, you start to decrease. And these 2 ends are actually opposite of each other. So while this one, I guess, has like a upward slope, the other one had a downward slope. And you reverse, you go single color, 2-color, 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 and end with 3-color, which was a lot of fun. This end felt super fast, which was great. So that was a lot of fun. The jury is still out on the shape of the shawl because it is like a skinny, I guess, semi like a parallelogram, polygon, I don't know, kind of shape. It is more like a scarf, and I'm not really a scarf wearer. I'm more of a shawl wearer, so jury's still out on that, but I guess we're gonna have to wait a while to find out. I did think it looked really beautiful on, so I definitely will wear it come winter. Fall is not hot enough in Texas to wear a scarf like this, but I am excited when the weather does get cold to try this out. So for right now, it's all washed and blocked and clean. It's going to get rolled up and put away until colder weather. Okay, second thing that I wanted to show you, while it was technically finished a few weeks ago, I finally blocked and woven all the ends on my Soundwave shawl, and this pattern is coming out on Friday. So this is a crocheted shawl. You need 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn and 1 skein of mohair yarn, and this is a pattern by Stephanie Aaron, and it is coming out, like I said, May 1st on Friday. It's a really fun and easy project. Honestly, like it's hard to show you because it's so big, but I'm not a super like skilled crocheter, and I found it really easy to follow without using markers, without having to count once I got used to it, and I really enjoy that in a pattern. So it's just super cute. Mine is very different than the original one. Hers, the designer's, is like stark contrast with an 80-20 blend fingering weight, so it's a little bit more heft to it, whereas mine's a single ply and, you know, very similar colors. They're actually, the mohair and the fingering weight are different colors, but I just think, like, look at that drape. It just blocked out beautifully. It wears really well, kind of like a triangle scarf, just with more coverage. And I'll put some pictures of that in there too, because I had my husband get a photo shoot for us. Those 2 colors, I think I've already disposed of the labels because I finished up that yarn. This was Peach Tea by Suburban Stitcher is the fingering weight. And I know that the mohair is Chasing Rabbits Fiber Co. I think it was called like something ice, Campari ice, I think is what it was called, which I don't know what Campari is, so it's hard for me to remember because I have no idea. Well, you know what? Let me just kick the tripod a million times today. I'm trying to find a comfortable way to sit, so I'm sitting like crisscross applesauce here in this chair. So hopefully I won't be moving around too much more. Okay, let's talk about some whips now. I have my 2 whips and I've been making some decent progress on them. Let's talk about one more shawl. I'm literally down to 2 whips here. I don't have anything else going. I haven't touched my scrap blankets in like years, so they don't count. This is all I got right now, and I'm loving it. So let me see, where's my marker? This is Blur by Deanne Ramsey, Addie Day Designs, and I have worked from one color to the next. So I was right here, and I have worked up this much, but it is getting quite long. I'm actually transitioning into the 5th color, I believe, out of 6. So I am getting closer and closer to the end because every section on the version that I chose actually gets smaller, fewer rows. So I'm getting quite close on this. I would really like to finish it by the end of the month, which is on Thursday. So I have today, Tuesday, which is already most of the way gone. It's 4:30. So in the next like 2 days, it's possible, but I don't know. I've got other things I am working on too that are taking up some time and prevent me from getting to crochet. But I am going to be doing some sitting and listening on Thursday, so hopefully I can get a little bit done then. But I am not remembering all of the colors here, but my project page, I will make sure it is linked down below so that you can see all of these beautiful colors. I haven't cleaned up yet I've got a lot going on. Sometimes I just throw things into my knitting bag that definitely don't belong there just to carry them around. Like I'll find like lip gloss and all kinds of stuff in here. But I haven't cleaned up my bag yet. I've still got like yarns I'm already done using that need to be now wound into balls. What do you guys do? If you're using a cake after you're done, do you usually like rewind it into a ball? That's what I like to do. And then sometimes I'll divide it up so that I have like 20 grams for one scrappy project and like some to give to a friend. And I don't know, that's what I tend to do. Like this is done, but that's a lot of yarn, so I might use that for something else. That one's a little smaller, so I don't know, we'll see. I'm yet to use this sparkly one, which I know is Savvy Skeins Boots and Spurs. That's one that I remember. So that's what I will be ending on, so I'm excited to get to that. But this is just a really quite simple but elegant, I think. Are you kidding me? Did I really just do that again? I wish you could see what is going on down here, but I think I've just made the tripod way too close to me today and I've tangled everything up. That is hysterical. I'm so sorry. Anyway, crocheted crescent shaped shawl, simple yet elegant and a lot of fun to work on. Carefully move. My final project is my Helical project, and that is my Traveler's Loop by Dawn Barker. I have 3 rounds to go. I can totally finish this tonight, and I am so excited. Maybe not the bind off, because sometimes I like to finish a project and then instead of trying to do a bind off in the evening when I'm a little tired, I'll switch to another project and then in the morning when I'm fresh, do the bind off. It doesn't feel as much of a thing if I do that, especially on a project like this. It has a lot of stitches. I want to make sure that bind off is all done in one go, nice and smooth and consistent. So here is my Traveler's Loop. It almost looks like a skirt now. It is getting so wide. The cool thing is that because this fabric is very, what's the right word for it? I don't know. The only word that's coming to mind is flimsy, and that is not what I mean. Drapey. Because this fabric is so drapey, it needs to be wide, because when I wear it around my neck, it'll look better when it's a wide scarf, because if it's too skinny, it will just roll and look like you have on a necklace and not a scarf, and nobody wants that. So it does need to be very wide, but it won't look wide when I am wearing it. I have done a decent amount since last week, not as much as the week before, but from this little Mickey cookie marker, and then this was my marker, I guess, last night. I didn't do very much last night because it was late before I got to sit down and knit, but I do only have 3 rounds to go, so I am super eager to get this finished. I am using 2 different dyers. One is Malabrigo. I know that. Another Malabrigo Machita, and that colorway is water green. That's the bluey green color. Oh, and the other one doesn't have a label. That's right. It feels like it's been more than a week since I've done a podcast and I've forgotten. The other color, the tan, is Ching Fiber and maybe Blue Finch. So here's how I'm looking. Getting down to the ends on both of these. These are both brand new skeins, hadn't been used. So I love when a project uses up yarn to almost the very end. That's always great. Then I don't have to make as many decisions. But that's my Helical project. So I'm for the Helical knit along. So I am trying to finish that up also by Thursday, hopefully tomorrow morning. All right, I feel like I desperately need some new cast-ons here. I need some variety. I need to do something different. I might need to knit on some socks. I don't know, but stay tuned because next week should be good, because hopefully I will finish these projects and start some new ones. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to talk about it more in my life section, but I've put a lot on my plate right now. It's all really exciting and really fun, but it just means that I'm working even more, and so I haven't been knitting a lot. So I am going to intentionally take a little time off this weekend and just knit and stay off of social media for a little bit. Hold me to it. And I think that'll be a really nice refresh, and then I'll be back at it again for the next week. So that being said, I'm hoping to give myself a break from the social media work on Saturday so that my creative brain will have the space to cast on something new. That's my hope. Okay, let's get to some questions, and don't forget you can find Courtney's channel and her podcast down below, and she's going to be answering the same questions. You guys asked them over on Instagram, so if you want to be able to be one of those people that gets to give us question prompts when I do collaborations, make sure you're following me on Instagram at Knitty Natty, and I will put the question box into my stories. I probably need to get a little better at a day of the week that I'm going to do that, because then y'all will know, and then you can ask even more questions. So let me think about that. I'll get back to you. We got some great questions this week though. So number 1, what is your favorite thing to binge watch while knitting? Well, that changes from time to time for sure. I think my favorite thing overall to binge watch is YouTube. I can just honestly, like, I'm an introvert. I love being alone, and my ideal way to start the day is just being by myself with some coffee and my breakfast, get on YouTube and knit. Like, that's how I try to start every single morning. I get up early so I'm alone, and that's my favorite thing, to just binge through. I love that. And if I'm ever the only one in the house because my husband is out of town, I usually just watch YouTube and not anything else. But if I'm watching TV, we have been watching some shows lately. We were obsessed with Married at First Sight. It was so good. Finished the current season. And then, no, the current season on Netflix, not the current season, there's one on TV. And then we've also been watching Schitt's Creek, which is hysterical. My mother-in-law started watching it just a few weeks ago and completely finished it. She loved it so much. And I had only seen the first 5 episodes. So she told me that she would rewatch it with me. So that's what we've been doing in the evenings. Question number 2, what type of item do you enjoy making the most and why? Now, I have answered this question before, and I feel like I sometimes give different answers because it just depends on the day. So while you think I might say socks, today I'm going to change that and say that I enjoy making shawls the most. Shawls for me are so enjoyable because you can do a huge variety of different things. Socks I usually make just about always the same way. I know you can do different patterns with socks, but I just don't tend to do that. So shawls are a way to be super creative with color, stitch pattern. I can learn new techniques. I loved Golden Willow because I learned so many different things and it was so much fun. It was constantly changing. So I think shawls are my most enjoyable make because there's just so much potential for them to be different and fun. Number 3, what is another yarn craft you'd like to learn or that you have or that you already know besides knit and crochet? So I'll answer both because I actually know how to needlepoint, kind of. I mean, I know the basic stitches. I've made a few things. I've made a lot of belts and collars for toaster. And I want to make more, but honestly, the things that I like to make are the things that are boring to make because I just like to do the plain stitches. It would kind of be the equivalent of you're a knitter, but all you want to knit is plain stockinette sweaters because that's what you like, but it's kind of boring even though it's a great thing to make. So when I actually force myself to sit down, it's enjoyable, but when I think about doing it, I'm like, nah. Maybe another time, but I do know how to needlepoint. What I would like to learn is how to spin on a spinning wheel. I've taken some classes on drop spindle before, and I find it a really slow way to get yarn. And I just like to buy yarn and knit it and crochet it. But I would one day like to learn to spin. I think that would be really enjoyable, but I don't know if I will, at least at the current moment, get my own spinning supplies. I think I would rather do a class or retreat where I just got to try it, the whole weekend and just sample all the wheels and really try to make something. So we'll see, maybe that opportunity will come up soon. 4th question, after I get some water. I liked this one. My husband actually saw me typing these up. And the question is, do you have any hobbies outside of yarn crafts? And he said, do you have any hobbies outside of yarn crafts? And I said, no. He's like, come on, you have to. I mean, you do other things. So he actually helped me come up with some things that I enjoy besides yarn crafts. So one thing, and I think this is like a co-hobby with my husband, is we love sports. So any like college football, hockey, I'm not a super fan or anything, but I do enjoy going to the games. I usually bring my knitting unless it's super hot or super cold, but that is something that we enjoy together. We watch on TV and all of that. So we're desperately missing that right now. Also, we really like to travel, especially to Disneyland. We continue to try to plan trips for the summer, but it's more, I think, of just like a fantasy, something to look forward to get us by this time that we have to stay at home. But in the back of our minds, we're like probably not going to get to go on any vacations this summer, which is really, really sad. I didn't realize how much I missed going on vacation until I couldn't go on one anymore, because we do travel a lot and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I like to travel. Honestly, knitting is like the core of my day. I don't know. It's hard to think of other things. Of course, I do YouTube, and I also started my new channel, which is cleaning, so that's a lot of fun. I feel like I have to defend myself here. I don't have to defend myself to you guys. If I said I only had knitting as a hobby, you would support me, right? Okay, last question. What is your favorite thing about podcasting? So there's so many good things about podcasting that I just had to pick a few. So one of the things that I like about podcasting is that it keeps me accountable to work on my projects. So I feel like, oh, wow, when I come out here and I say I haven't worked on this in a week, I'm like, oh, I need to get to work on this. Or when I say I have a goal, it makes me motivated to do that. I don't feel like I have to or obligated, but it does kind of help push me along. The other thing that's great is that I have all of these hours of video that are memories that I can go back and look at and say, oh, I remember when I was in that time of my life. Even the things that like I don't say out loud on the podcast that are things you would never know that are happening in the background, like I have those memories and I can go back and say, wow, like look at where I've come from, or look at what was going on, or remember when I used to say I would never knit or crochet that, or never learn to spin or whatever. And I think that that's really, really fun. And of course, I think the coolest thing is how just being on Instagram or YouTube, you know, it brings people into your life that you wouldn't have met otherwise. I think the same can be said for knitting and crochet. So just getting to meet more people in the community, and then also when you see people locally and they're like, oh, I watch your podcast. It's just an instant connection, and then that is definitely the top thing for me. Okay, I went to look at the questions on Ravelry and saw that there was a question from 14 days ago and from 8 days ago. I'm so sorry, you guys. I've tried to balance and not do like an entire question podcast, but I want to get a little caught up today, so I'm going to answer 3 questions, and they're not too long, and plus we're only like 25 minutes in because I talked about my knitting really fast. So we're going to answer some more questions. Okay, the first question is from Navy Family 06, and she says, my mom bought me some gorgeous yarn. It's fingering weight and 80% superwash merino, 10% nylon, and 10% cashmere. I've never used any yarn with cashmere in it. Can I do socks with it? Or a hat? Any other suggestions? Okay, so right off the bat, yes, you can absolutely make socks because it's fingering weight yarn. Now the question is, would it be the best thing to use? Personally, I would think that a yarn that has 10% cashmere might be a little more delicate, and so it depends on how you're gonna wear those socks. Are you just gonna like wear them in slippers around the house? Are you just gonna put them on when you go to bed? Or are these gonna be socks that you're going to want your mom to wear around, you know, in shoes, outside, where they're gonna get a lot more friction? So if they are, then I would say maybe socks aren't the best idea for that blend of yarn. Now, this merino cashmere nylon blend is so lovely for so many things, especially accessories. A hat would be great, but I think it's even better suited for like neck accessories. There's lots and lots of mini shawl patterns that are one skein patterns. I think you can even maybe filter on Ravelry, at least by yardage, not by one skein, but by like 400 yards, and find lots of little shawlettes that will work for 100 gram, a single skein of fingering weight yarn. So that might be the better way to do it. And I'm just realizing the yarn is for you, your mom bought it for you. So they're not socks for your mom. How are you gonna wear the socks or the object that you make? If you guys have any thoughts on that, definitely make sure to go into the Ask Me thread on Ravelry, or you can comment here on in the comments of this podcast and let her know what you think. Okay, next question is from Rosalba B, and she says, "Hi Natalie, I'm sort of new to socks, so I'm not sure how to modify heels for different stitch counts. I realized that a 64 stitch count on a 2.5 millimeter was a bit big for me." Oh yeah, that would be really quite big. I tried using fingering weight yarn for a sport weight pattern that has a 56 stitch count, but it includes the heel flap and gusset. Is there a way to make the German short row heel or any other type of heel with this stitch count? Okay, Rosalba, those socks are so pretty. You know what I thought of when I saw this? I thought it was a yarn cozy and that you had designed your own like lacy pattern. How pretty would that be for a yarn cozy? Oh my gosh. Too many ideas. You just have to stop at some point. But anyway, beautiful socks. Yes, you can absolutely do a short row heel for just about any stitch count. So here's the basic math rules. Your heel should be knit on exactly, whoa, I'm gonna stop making those blanket statements like that. Typically, a heel is knit on half of your stitches. So half of 56 would be 28. Try again, 28. So yes, you can absolutely knit a heel on 28 stitches. So once you get to the heel, so here's your sock, you've taken away half the stitches because they're just gonna hang out until you're done with your heel. Half your stitches, and then you're going to look at your heel in typically about thirds. So you have like a middle section, a middle third of stitches, and then a third on each side. If it's not totally even, like if you had 30 stitches, you could have 10, 10, and 10. Super easy. But when you have 28 stitches, that does not divide by 3. So you have to kind of figure out the math, and if the middle section needs to be smaller than the outer two, that's fine, but the outer 2/3 need to be the same. So for 28 stitches, you would probably want 10, 8, and 10. There you go. And then you can do your short row heel. So the general rule is half of your total stitches are for the heel, and the heel divided roughly into thirds, with the middle section being a little smaller than the other two. I hope that helps. Message me if you need more explicit instructions. Okay, I see lots of people answered Sarah's question from last week about the advent calendar that is a fade. So if I hadn't already bought an advent calendar, if I had it in the budget for 2, I would want to get some of these that y'all are suggesting. So if you're looking for an advent calendar, especially one that's a gradient or a fade, go look at the suggestions from episode 60 in the comments, but also in the Ravelry group. You're gonna find some great ones. Okay, last question that I'm doing today. I'm leaving 2 unanswered because they were just asked in the last 24 hours, and I will get back to them next week. Okay, this one is from, oh my gosh, I don't know if your name is Carb 101. I know it's Cindy. I know it's my friend Cindy, but I didn't know what your Ravelry name was. CARB or Carb 101, I don't know. Anyway, Cindy asks, "Hi Natalie, I know that you like to pull from the center of your yarn ball. How do you manage the yarn when you have to frog? It's a sad fact of knitting life, that it is. With an outside pull, I can just wrap the yarn around the outside. But what do you do with the excess yarn on a center pull ball? Thanks, Cindy." I will show you because this, I think frogging, you're right, is a fact of life. Okay, so here's yarn that I'm currently working with. You can see I'm getting some yarn barf. Who wound this skein? Anyway, so let's say that I'm happily knitting, or in this case crocheting along, and I have a center pull ball. I have it inside of a cozy, which I often do, whether it's a knit one or a fabric one or one of the ones from my float totes. Anyway, so you're knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting, and oh no, you have to frog, and now you have all this extra yarn. So I actually do the same thing that you do with an outside pull ball. I just wrap it around the outside, just like that. So it's like literally wrapped in a circle. And then for the next little while as I knit, it's coming off of the outside, which is not really a big deal. But honestly, it's a big sigh of relief when I come back and it's pulling from the center again. So that's it. You do the exact same thing. You can just wrap it around the outside. The cozies really do help from letting it totally collapse. Like if you had no cozy, it might make it a little bit harder, but it's still, I would still do the same thing. Okay, so let's talk about news. This week, big news, my Yarn Cozy Light is coming out on Friday. So let me grab those and talk about them real fast, and then I will tell you another place you can go. This is rude of me to be searching and talking. Oh my gosh, one of my skeins has escaped. Hold on. Okay, let's try that again. The Yarn Cozy Light is coming out on Friday, May 1st, and there are 3 different versions here. This is the plain and simple ribbed one. This one has faux cables, and then we've got our self-striping version. When you buy the pattern, all 3 versions are included. It's very simple, nice, concise pattern. I have just gotten pictures from my testers today, so now I have to figure out which ones to put in the pattern and where to place them, but then all of their pictures are going to be over on the Ravelry pattern page. So I'm really excited about that because we have 3 different patterns and like 10 to 12 people for each one. So lots and lots of pictures and lots of samples. This is a well tested pattern. So basically, if you haven't seen it yet, this is a yarn cozy. It's knit. You start at the bottom here and increase, and then you work like the body where you don't increase at all. And that's the same for all 3 of them. It's just different patterns. And then you do a little bit of decreasing, do a I-cord bind off, and that's it. Super simple. The instructions for the self-striping version are a little different from the ribbed because you have to manage your color changes. So I do have how to very easily manage the color changes so that you don't get the little, let me show you. I have a video tutorial on this too that will be coming out, but when you change colors, see how you get that little line, but then on the outside, you don't get the line because there's a way to manage that, and that is in the pattern. And then also how to make sure you end up with just one color for the I-cord bind off. So all of that is included. Honestly, the best thing about this pattern is that as I've kind of talked about it over the course of the last couple months, people have been suggesting even more ideas of like different versions, and I have like, I definitely want to do a worsted weight. I want to do a crocheted version, maybe fingering and worsted weight, but I also want to do like mini, like for 50 gram skeins if you split your yarn for socks. Somebody today said, what if you made it taller and you could put 2 skeins of yarn in if you have like a 2 skein project? I'm like, or like 2 at a time socks. I'm like, oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless. So if you're feeling creative, get this pattern and take it and go from there. Make your own stuff up, because while I will do my best to make all the different versions and so many fun things, there's just not enough time in the day or the year for me to do it all. So get creative once you have the pattern. As long as you don't share my my pattern, then you are free to do whatever you want creatively with that. That's the beauty of knitting and crochet, is you can get creative. So anyway, this pattern is coming out on Friday. I have a love letter video. It's nice and short. I've learned that shorter is better when it comes to those kinds of videos, because I don't know. Sometimes it's a lot to listen to me chat about one project. So nice and short, 12 minutes long, and in it has a coupon code for 30% off that starts on Friday. You do have to go to the video to get the coupon code. That's how you get it. But it's right at the beginning, and I think you'll enjoy the video nonetheless, talking about kind of the inspiration and the journey for creating this pattern. The coupon code will be good for 2 weeks, so make sure to head over there at any time you're watching this if it's within 2 weeks, which would be by May 15th of 2020. But yeah, I think that's it for the love letter. What else has been going on? Oh, the Helical is ending. I'm gonna have to change this next week, but Helical is ending on Thursday. So if you're watching it today, it's ending tonight. So if you have knit on anything that includes helical knitting between, when did we start? Ooh, I don't remember when we started. I think early in March. I'll have to go back and look. I'll put it on the bottom. But anytime from when we started to Thursday, if you've knit on any part of a helical project at all, then you can enter. There's 2 ways to enter. There's 2 prizes. On Ravelry, just chatting in the thread. I would love if you would post a picture of your project. That's the most fun because I get to see what you're working on. And then also on Instagram, if you use the Helical hashtag, Helical hashtag in your feed, I'll be going through and picking somebody at random from all those Helical hashtags. So helical knitting is just a technique for knitting 2 colors in the round, and that's what I've been doing with my Traveler's Loop. And if you go onto Ravelry, Dawn Barker, who designed this, has several other infinity scarf patterns that include helical knitting, and so they're a lot of fun. There's another 2-color one that's, I think, stockinette. There's another one that has mohair, and then there's also a 5-color one, I believe. It's a cowl, and so helical knitting is really, really cool. If you haven't tried it, I've got a tutorial, and that will be linked below, as well as all of the description, all of the links to the knit along description. The other thing that happened on Saturday, we had Saturday Knit Live. It was a YouTube live held right here on YouTube, and it was so much fun. Basically, we played 3 games. It was really fun. You can go and watch that. While I know it's not exactly the same as it is when it's live, you can still play the games and watch the chat right alongside us. And it was just great. I felt very humbled to see how many people attended. It was really, really incredible. So much fun. So I think we're gonna have to do it again, but probably after a few weeks, because you know we gotta get some space in between the fun things so that they stay really fun. And we will not have anything live this weekend because, like I said, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break over the weekend just to kind of refresh. So no live this weekend, but we'll get back on schedule. I think next time it is the morning time turn because I try to alternate between 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. so I can catch everybody around the world at a good time for you. Is there anything else in news? Love letter, Helical, Saturday Knit Live, no live this weekend. Okay. I think that is it for the news. Now, as far as life stuff goes, like I've kind of been mentioning, things are getting really busy. So This and That, my new YouTube channel, has fully launched. I've got 2 videos as of today. I have another one dropping tomorrow. So I think that means there will be 3 cleaning inspiration videos by the time that this podcast goes up. So I will have it linked below. Definitely, if you have any interest, go over there and see what that's about. This is going to be my channel for mostly cleaning and organization. That's what I'm really focused on, productivity. I'm also going to talk about food and budget. It's, I guess you could say, a lifestyle channel, but really focused around that organization and cleaning and giving you guys tips and inspiration. So if you have any interest in that at all, like I said, it'll be linked, and go check it out. I would really appreciate it if you do like it, if you will subscribe over there. I'm so excited to build this channel, It's also where I'm going to do, as time goes on, more like personal things, like more sitting down and answering questions about my life. And it's also, you know, I can talk about whatever I want. It's not limited to knitting and crochet. While I love knitting and crochet and will continue to work on Knitty Natty just as hard, I have more space over there to do that. So if you're interested in personal things about me, not that there's anything like crazy or personal, but that's where all of that stuff is going to start transferring over to. So head over there to both my Instagram at all of this and that and my channel this and that to check that out. But since I'm launching a new channel, I'm going to do videos over there 3 times a week for just a little while. And so that means I'm going to have videos Monday through Friday, which is really exciting. So it's going to be a lot of fun, but also a little crazy. And I just remembered I have another video coming out, another knitting video coming out this week. So let me put this in my lap so I don't forget. But yeah, I think that's all of this and that. But then I'm going to have a video excuse me, I'm gonna have another tutorial come out sometime this week that goes along with the Yarn Cozy Light, and then I'm also gonna have a video about the Soundwave Shawl. So let me just talk about that now. So Kate from One of a Kate and I both test crocheted this pattern for Stephanie, and each of us have created a video kind of chronicling our journey, talking about the pattern, and it's going to be really fun. The pattern releases this one on Friday. So we're going to start with my video. I'm going to premiere it at, I think, 10 a.m. I think that's the time we decided on, but I'll correct myself if not. 10 a.m. and then right after that, I have to see how long my video is first. We're gonna head over to Kate, who is One of a Kate, and watch her video. So we're gonna have 2 premieres back to back. So if you are interested in this pattern at all, come and watch our premieres. It's gonna be a lot of fun hanging out on a Friday. So I'm excited for that. All right, I think that's everything. Bringing me joy this week. I don't know, everything is pretty great this week. You know what, I'm just thinking Toaster has been bringing me a lot of joy lately. I know that's silly to say, but I really love that dog. He is absolutely adorable. Maybe I used to end my podcast with some video of him. I don't think I have anything horizontal, but maybe I have some vertical videos or at least some photos I can put in because he's been extra cute lately. Last night we had a really bad storm, like horrible hail, and our bedroom is on the top floor of our house, so we hear it really loudly. And poor little thing was just shaking. He was up there in between Kent and myself, and we were just trying to hold him. He was so cute. But anyway, Toaster bringing me joy. Gotta love that little guy. Looks like it's about to start storming again, so I might go ahead and wrap things up before we hear any loud booms or anything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Courtney of Knit Now, Swatch Later, and go see what her channel is all about. I think you're gonna love her podcast. And again, thank you for watching. I said that already, didn't I? Oh my goodness. I'll see you guys on Friday for my premiere of the Soundwave Shawl, and then also on Kate's channel for the premiere of the Soundwave Shawl, and get the coupon code for Yarn Cozy Light. Okay, I think that's everything. Bye! Sit! I like your shawl, buddy.